Everybody, thank you for joining us today on this Tuesday morning, a nice, crisp, cool fall morning. We're glad to have everybody with us. I'm Robert Theobald, I'm Small Business Ombudsman and Vice President of Small Business Services at the Arizona Commerce Authority. And again, we're glad to have you with us for the Small Business Bootcamp session. As we like to do, we like to start by first recognizing all of our community partners. We could not do these bootcamp sessions without them, their time, their effort, and their expertise. Now, these two slides are just a sample of the 200 plus community partners that have helped with the bootcamp series. Those not familiar with Small Business Bootcamp, it is a webinar series designed to help small businesses prepare, plan, and grow. And it is a statewide initiative supported by all of our community partners. And not only is it our Tuesday morning webinars, it is a content library and a series of workshops. And we'll touch on both of those here in a moment. So first, the content library piece. The content library is a culmination of recording all of our webinars, and then we host them, those recordings, in our content library on the Bootcamp website. And you can go there and find all the previous sessions. Today's sessions will be recorded and posted there later today. So you can go back and find any of the previous sessions, watch them at any time. It's easy to copy the link and send it to others that might benefit from it. It's just a tremendous resource that has come from doing all of our webinars. And again, there's no cost for this piece either. It's open to anyone with the internet. So if you have friends overseas that want to watch it, they can go on and they can download, they can watch the webinars. So some additional, I apologize for some of the background noise. I got a little bit of construction going on in near the desk, but it shouldn't be too bad. Want to also talk about some of ACA's programs that help support small businesses beyond the boot camp and the content library. We have our Small Business Services Division, our workforce, and our Arizona MEP. And you can see from those bullet points underneath each of these categories that there's a number of different programs to help support small businesses as you grow, different types of businesses. For example, the MEP is a manufacturing extension partnership, and they focus on helping small to medium-sized manufacturers grow and scale. And they're here to help small businesses throughout the state. And that's really important. We do serve the entire state, help them grow and create more jobs. And that's the goal, create more jobs and a better economy for all of Arizona. Additionally, for entrepreneurs, small business owners, entrepreneurs, businesses looking to scale and move into other areas of Arizona or move into Arizona, we have our small business checklist. And this is an awesome tool. It's an interactive online resource or checklist that helps identify the commonly requested licensing, registration, and compliance needs at the local, state, and federal levels. It also provides a lot of other great information. It's a tremendous resource. And if you're looking, if you go into the checklist itself, as you see there on the screen, you can click the links depending on what you're looking for and get a lot of very detailed information. If you're looking for just more overview type information, you can utilize Sally. You see her on the screen right there. She's our state and local licensing information virtual assistant. She can help you with some generic information on the licensing pieces. But we have both those tools available for you as you look to start, grow, and scale your business. With that, we want to share some updates to help your businesses as well. So one is the 10 West Impact Festival this week in Tucson. So if you're in and around Tucson or want to head down there, it's a great program. We're going to post links for this information as well in the chat for all these points. Just a reminder, as some of you are wrapping up your taxes for last year, for 2020 and 2021, the employee retention credit is still available. It's still an IRS program that you can take advantage of. Can be significant funding. But I'm bringing it up again now. We have webinars we've done on it by Beach Fleischman, a very solid accounting firm. There's a lot of companies out there you hear on the radio talking about how they can get that money for you and do all the work and just receive a portion of what you may get back. There was a notice sent out by the IRS and the SBA warning that some of these companies are doing things incorrectly and taking advantage of the small businesses and kind of leaving them with not a lot of options. So be very careful if you use somebody else to help you get the employee retention credit. And then the last thing, I just got this news yesterday that Maricopa County has signed on to do another year with Prestamos to offer their 1% loan program for businesses in Maricopa County. This is amazing. It's a 1% interest loan up to 5 years and up to $1 million. So if your business is looking to grow and the end of this year or in 2023, if you look at the inflation rate right now, you cannot beat a 1% interest loan. That's an amazing deal. And again, up to $1 million to help your business grow. And so definitely take advantage of that. With that in mind, we could talk about our workshop that is tomorrow on accessing capital, both in person and online. And you'll get some great feedback on how to prepare to reach out to a lender. So if you're thinking this 1% loan might be something for you, you may want to attend the workshop tomorrow, or at least part of it, and see what some of the lenders are looking for, what some of the accounting firms are saying you need to do to prepare, so you're prepared when you go in and ask for the money. So with that, we'll look at our upcoming sessions. Again, tomorrow is our workshop. It starts at 9 a.m., but 8:30 to 9 is registration, and from 9 to noon is the workshop. Again, it's in person and online. And then next Tuesday is talking about SBIR funding, Small Business Innovation Research Program, and the grant that we offer to help support businesses looking at that program, as well as the program itself. The SBIR is a federal program that's available to businesses to help take research and technology out to the market. So we're going to get some great information on that session. And then on Tuesday, November 15th is going to be an awesome session. We've done it once before and I felt we needed to do it again, but we've got Lad McKinday coming from, will be presenting on the basics of influencer marketing. That's missing an R there. But basics on influencer marketing. And if you've thought about using influencers, if Chris talks about it today, then you may want to learn a little bit more about it in that session. And then after that session, we will, the week of Thanksgiving, we will not have a boot camp on that Tuesday. We will take that week off and then return the following week with more sessions up until we take our holiday break in December. So we hope you can join us for these. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn the time over to Chris Amos. He's our speaker today from No Boundaries Marketing Group. Chris has spoken with us before. I met him a number of years ago at another event, and he knows his business well, and so we're excited to have him with us. So Chris, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen and turn the time over to you.
All righty, I appreciate you, sir. That picture was the first and last time I wore a suit, so there you go. All right, let's rock and roll. I'm going to share my screen here, and let's go ahead and get started. So yeah, today's presentation. So a little bit about us. Obviously, I'm the owner. Well, I'm the lead janitor. My wife's actually the owner, but No Boundaries Marketing Group. We founded this agency. I come from the corporate marketing space. So, I worked for a number of years for a major marketing company and learned a lot of great stuff about, the industry, what to do, what not to do, all the fun stuff. And really, we just took our passion for service and just decided we could do things bigger and better. And so we opened our agency. We consider ourselves a boutique marketing firm. We're located out in Surprise and, again, dedicated to small business. So enough about us. Let's move on here. So today, a couple of things that we're going to talk about. This class will actually be a little bit more than just LinkedIn. So if you came here just to learn about LinkedIn, I'm going to really span into a lot of different, areas. So we're going to go down some rabbit holes today. And the idea is this, the concept that we try to teach clients is, it's social is one component of a successfully executed marketing strategy. And without these pillars of success in place, really you're just shooting yourself in the foot. So we really try to help people understand here is a comprehensive approach And all of this is within every business owner's wheelhouse. This is nothing, and I mean, not to discredit our agency and our services or any other marketing company for that matter, but a lot of what we're going to teach today is really within your wheelhouse to control and to execute on. Now, certainly there are, services that agencies like myself provide, and there's a lot of value behind that. But today specifically, we're going to talk about you and what you guys can do. So first and foremost, the first thing that I want to talk about today is really understanding a business. And this is something I think a lot of us take for granted. We're experts in our field. We're really good at what we do. And believe me when I say I am literally the byproduct of everything we're going to talk about today. I have made all these mistakes. I have done them in my own company, and I live to tell the tale. And so what I really want, and I hope businesses understand, is more about them. Again, back to, we take a lot of things for granted. When we look at this big picture and we say to ourselves, okay, we know what we're doing. You should hire me because I'm pretty good at what I do, right? I mean, that's obviously an oversimplification, but what is it about our businesses that make us unique, make us experts in our field? What I really want businesses to understand is, what are their profit centers? And when we say profit centers is, I'm going to pick on like plumbers just because they're easy. Like a plumber, you do drain cleaning, you do this, you do that, you do all these different services, right? Those are our profit centers. What do you really want to do though? Do you want to clean drains, or do you want to install gas lines? Do you want to repipe houses? Like, there's so many things that we can really break that down into. And that foundation is what's going to help us down the road when we get to social media eventually today. It's going to really help with our content creation. It's going to help really paint that picture, because we're going to focus our efforts instead of being scattered and, just disjointed and posting about everything under the sun, and nobody can really follow a general theme, guide, whatever you want to say. This is really going to streamline things for you. So we're going to talk a lot about strategy. And this is the first component of that, is we got to understand who we are. What are we all about? So profit centers is normally where we start targeting. Next up, target demographic. And I know this sounds like oversimplification, like we're just literally going bullet point by bullet point, but target demographic. What are your customers' buying triggers? Do you have specific areas that you work? Are you nationwide? I work with consultants that go nationwide. I have, again, plumbers that are local. So it really just depends. You got to really nail that down, because targeting nationwide is a heck of a lot different than targeting Mesa, Arizona, or something to that nature. What sets you apart from your competition? Again, something we take for granted is, we really look at things and we ask ourselves, or we say to ourselves, I'm different than the guy down the road. I do things bigger. I do things better. But what do you do different? What do you do better? You need to be able to speak to these things. And that's really what we need to embrace when we talk about content creation and certain things coming up. What have you done in the past for marketing and advertising? A lot of us, we've all started the grassroots campaigns. We've all done a ton of things in our days, and some things have worked well and some things haven't. What most business owners go wrong is they fail to really document that. They really fail to, understand, okay, well, this worked well. Let's write it down. Let's make a note of it so that we can come back to that later. Eventually, and again, we've been in business now for over 3 years. We've grown to a 7-figure agency, which is awesome. I mean, and I can tell you, it's from doing things like this, where we fell flat on our face 100 times, but taking those 1 or 2 things that we did really, really well every single month, every single week, every single year, and just start compounding on that stuff. I mean, now we have a pretty solid social presence, thousands of followers, all sorts of great stuff. And it's because, again, we didn't start off with that. We've grown this holistically over the years. I've actually done 0 paid advertising to actually grow our client base, or excuse me, our social base. And again, what's more successful than the other? Again, even within those success factors, what worked really, really well and what showed moderate success and what didn't show much success at all, just being able to identify that. Challenges with other forms of advertising, believe it or not, that plays into the big picture too. So asking yourselves these questions, really, again, super, super important. A couple more things: awards, accolades. This is obvious. This is always the most difficult conversation, is getting clients to really talk about themselves, because most clients, they don't want to be arrogant. They look at this like, oh, well, I don't want to post about me. They hate seeing themselves. And so we got to really help them get out of their own way. So one thing I hope you guys think about today is, how do we get out of our own way? How do we talk about the trade certifications, the BBB, the awards, our education, our background, our experiences? A lot of the times, especially in small businesses like myself, people don't hire my company. Truth be told, I always make a funny joke, as I tell everybody, 90% of my clients don't even know my business name. They know me though. So, I mean, however they came in, but we really have to think about that as they're hiring us as experts in the business or in our industries. Very seldom, and again, this is going to vary between businesses, but a lot of times a lot of people don't really understand what our business is all about, but they understand us. So taking advantage of that where we can. PR, is there any negative PR for the industry? And believe it or not, that's a big thing. Some industries are plagued with, negative perception. I mean, if we were to look at the pawn business or bail bonds, are they bad industries? No. Are they plagued with some negativity? Sure. I mean, so being able to identify that. We have a bail bonds client. I'll give you an example, Sanctuary Bail Bonds. And I'll tell you, the owner, Randy, he's an amazing person. And believe me when I say he would give his shirt off his back to help somebody. He goes way above and beyond. And this obviously isn't meant to be a plug for him, but to truly think about when I came in, first perception is, oh God, bail bonds industry, what am I dealing with? This and that, but he has a completely different twist. And, it's really caused me to rethink, okay, how am I looking at this? And so that's what we want to embrace. We want to look at those type of challenges and see how do we overcome them. Charities, nonprofits. This is a huge one, humanizing the brand. A lot of people look at social and they just post content, just boom, boom, boom. They just puke content out to people. And there's really no goal. There's really no, structure behind it. It's just they share whatever they can do because they think perception wise is we just got to get content out there. We just got to do this constantly, just feed the beast. But the reality is we need to humanize the brand. People do business, and where engagement comes from is that connection that people have with businesses. And this is one of the ways that you can really, and again, this sounds like, oh, well, we don't do charity work because we want publicity out of it. I get that. We do the same thing. We do a ton of charity work, and I'm almost a hypocrite because we don't post a lot about it. And I get how difficult that can be. But, when you really think about it, the charities you support, there's an absolute give there. And those charities, they love it when you build brand connections between the two. And so that's an opportunity for you to really think about is what charities or nonprofit organizations, is it, just the weekend soccer club? Is it, the church down the road? What is it that you guys support? And how can you co-brand your material to help build their organization and yours at the same time? A couple other things is, ensure all your customers know about the products and services you offer. This is another one that's, again, an oversimplification. A lot of the times we do so much for our clients, and, a lot of businesses that we work with, they have so many products and services. You don't necessarily want to feature all of them. We don't want to sit there and, every day post something new and all these me type posts. We want to diversify. And so we'll talk about that a little bit down the road, but make sure that you have a good idea about how you want to present your products and services so that, again, you can have a go-to-market strategy. How do you want people to interact with you? That's another one. So many times I sit there and I'll ask a client, hey, do you prefer phone calls or do you want them to book appointments online? And it's the website will say one thing, their social channels will say another, and then they'll tell me something completely different. And you sit back and it's like, okay, well, which one do you want? Because you're telling people three different things. So really identifying, how do you want to handle client requests? How do you want people to do business with you? In this day and age, it is all about ease of doing business with you. So, again, if your demographic, say, let's just say 18 to 24, chances are they don't pick up the phone anymore. They want to text you. They want to chat. They want to do, that whole, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. They just don't want to pick up the phone. If you're dealing with an older demographic, let's say 55 and older, typically they're going to pick up the phones. They want to talk face to face, those type of interactions. So really understanding what that looks like and understanding your demographics, like we talked about before. Next up, specials and promotions. Now, I'll tell you, I'm not a huge one for discounting. I don't like my clients to discount their services. There's a whole, school of thought behind pricing and perception of a deal and all that. That's for another class. But I will tell you, have your stuff in order, have all your ducks in a row there. If you're offering promotions, come up with a 30, 60, 90 plan. That's another big thing. 30, 60, 90 plans. If you don't know what those are, 90 days, we're planning ahead. We're thinking about what's coming up in 90 days that we may or may not want to promote. In 60 days, we're taking that information and we're actually putting together what we need to do. So we're getting our game plan together. We're creating key visuals, content, all sorts of fun stuff. And then we're implementing 30 days out. And that's going to vary based on industry. Some industries have a longer lead in time. Some industries have a shorter lead in time. But generally speaking, the 30, 60, 90 plan would be absolutely critical for every business. Next up, what social channels do you utilize? How often are you posting? We're going to talk more about that here in a minute. And then do you know what your reviews look like online? So again, how often are you getting them? Things like that. Social is a phenomenal resource for curating reviews and just keeping in front of your clients. So these are just some ideas. If you guys want more, I got millions of these. I can go bullet points all day long, but just to give you an idea about getting to know and understanding your business, I think that that is absolutely critical to the success of any business, whether it be online or social media. So moving forward, next up is taking a look at the numbers. So as a part of a comprehensive marketing strategy, we really want to understand the numbers, because once we understand how people are searching for our products and services and what we do, it's actually really easy to target them. It's really easy to give them what they're looking for. The example that I give, I just pulled up chiropractors, okay? So you can see what search volumes look like. You can see, and again, there's a much more comprehensive report than this. These are just some key visuals. But when we look at that big picture, we have to ask ourselves, if somebody goes to Google or they do voice search or whatnot, the idea is this: these services, these consumers are asking a question. They're asking a question about, all right, what is blah, 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 And so being able to answer that question is ultimately going to provide you that key to success within your company and staying on top of that. There's a ton of resources out there too, where we can figure that out. So a couple of things. And again, I just pulled this. One of the applications that we use is called KW Finder. There's a free version of it. We obviously have a paid version because I use it all the time. But KW Finder, and I'll put that in the chat there. KW Finder is a phenomenal tool to look at just to understand what are people searching for out there. So if I'm a chiropractor, a plumber, if I am a retail business, it really spans any industry. So it's not specific to just service-based, but you can really look at any aspect of data out there and understand how are people searching. The other one being Answer the Public. Again, same exact tool, but you can get a ton of data in there about what people are querying online to really start to curate your content and really get all of your ducks in a row. Because now, presumably, we understand more about our businesses over here, and we've really kind of documented out a who, what, when, where, why about our business. Now we're looking at the numbers, and we're going to connect these two dots with what are consumers searching for behind what service and solution do I provide. So just a couple of quick little tips there. But again, those two services are probably two of the most important ones that we utilize. And there's some other ones. So if you guys need more, please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to provide them. So next up, we're going to talk about reaching our target audience. And so once we've established, the who, what, when, where, whys, now we know how people are searching. It's really about connecting these dots together. So number one foundation for any marketing strategy, and I stress this to every client, listen, it is your website. We can do social media all day long. We can have the most rock star LinkedIn page, Facebook page, TikTok. I don't care. You can do whatever you want out there. But the reality is, what is that all funneling to? Chances are it's going to be your website, and it probably should be your website. The website is the foundation for everything. A lot of the times we look at this and people are funneling so much effort and energy into their social, and it's like, well, you're neglecting the primary foundation of your whole entire business. So we really encourage a synergy between the two. What gets posted on social, the content that you're developing really should be a byproduct of what exists on your website. And again, not all the time. So that's not to say everything has to exist there, but it's a really good, it's a strong best practice, let's just say, is to make sure that we're connecting the dots. We should be always sending people to our website, referencing our website, and building that digital foundation to really help promote our businesses, not just for tomorrow, but we're really trying to position ourselves for the next 3 to 5 years. So next up, evaluating your listings online. Again, talking about ease of doing business. Now that we've established the who, what, when, where, whys, we know how people are searching. Well, where are they going to search? Is it Yelp? Is it Google? Is it here? There's 1,000 different sources out there. But making sure that all of these are in line for when somebody finds us and when somebody ultimately decides they want to connect. And again, whether that's on social or anywhere, we need to make sure that we have all of our ducks in a row. And believe it or not, that's actually easier than you think. So there's a lot of easy, I'll call them easy services. We have them listed out on our website. If anybody ever wants to take a look at it, under our resources tab, we listed out, I think I put the top 30 or 50 local IYP sites out there that you can go and create your own free profile. Just understand you're going to get a lot of calls for people to advertise. But again, just kind of grin and bear through that. But making sure that all your ducks in a row, making sure the key visuals on those sites are all tuned up and in line with each other. You don't have the wrong logo over here versus this logo over there. The phone numbers are correct, the hours of operation. Again, we just want to make it easy to do business with us. That leads into the next one, which is monitoring the reputation. With so many different review sites out there, we got to make sure that we're taking a vested interest in what people are saying. Now, a lot of that component is really exists within social, right? Because if you're going to produce awesome content and you're sharing that out there and you're trying to create engagement, and then somebody wants to go say something nasty because they have nothing better to do, well, you need to monitor that. And that doesn't just happen on social. Whether it's Yelp or, whatever the case may be, you want to make sure that you take a vested interest in this, and you want to respond appropriately. You want to manage that information as best you can, right? I mean, there's not always something, if somebody wants to leave a nasty review, you can report it and try to get it removed. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. Social, a little bit easier because you can delete their comments. But again, you just need to make sure you have you take the time to monitor that. Presence. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all the different social channels. I always tell clients a very, very common question: which platform do I use? The answer is always, well, what can you be consistent with? Are you an avid Facebook user? So that's probably a low-hanging fruit. Let's go there. Let's start with Facebook, and then let's move over into something else. Once you get really good and efficient at things, the key to success is consistency. And I'm going to talk a lot about that today, is consistency and making sure that you're delivering the right message to your target audience. I give a couple of examples in my social classes. And so one of those is going to be, I have a couple of people, influencers that I follow religiously, and it's because they produce amazing content. So we're going to talk about that too. But the funny one is, I have one influencer specifically, they only do lives and they only do them on Friday mornings. That's it. They don't produce any other content on their page. And some people argue, well, that's a terrible social strategy. Like, wow, how are they even successful? But that's the expectation they set. They're consistent with their brand. They're consistent with their message. Without fail, they're hitting it every single week. So again, I've groomed 7 a.m. because they're in the East Coast, 7 a.m. I'm logging in every Friday. I'm looking, I just want to see what they're producing, what they're doing, what they're talking about. Syndicated podcasts, really. But, I look forward to that. Other ones, other channels, you have in my industry, search engine journals, just different industry trade, organizations, and they produce really good, solid quality content. So I count on that stuff versus other people that, they might provide their insights and opinions on things, but it's inconsistent or not a shared view within the industry. So we'll talk more about content in a minute, but big picture wise, what can you be consistent with online? And you want to set that right expectation. So if you're a 1 or 2 posts a week kind of person, be consistent with that. Strive to do better, but be consistent. If you're 5 or 6 or you're posting every single day, again, be consistent with that. Loyalty rewards programs. We talked about before about taking appointments, reservations, videos on features, service. Just remember, right now, statistically speaking, 50% of the audience love videos, 50% don't. So it just depends if it's mobile, if it's this, there's a lot of factors in that, but video really helps accent a point, really helps get that message across. So again, we encourage a lot of video on there, or at least a balance or a blend between the two. We don't want to just rely on shared content, opinions, articles, that type of content. We want to diversify a little bit. So we'll talk about that too. Next up, websites. Again, what makes a good website? You guys can find this, and I know Faith will share this after the presentation today, but affordable, simple, clean, that's where we're at right now. People, a lot of people say, oh, well, a website's going to cost me 10 grand. No, doesn't need to. There's a lot of great websites out there, a lot of simple, uncluttered, really well put together websites, and they can be super cheap, super efficient. Again, make it easy to navigate, clear call to actions, eye-catching, key visuals. Right now, I think as a society, we're in this mode of key visuals. And I don't care what platform you're posting on, whether it's, Yelp or Google or LinkedIn or whatever. You need to make sure that you're taking those key visuals. Do not use stock photos whenever possible. There's no personalization there. People don't make emotional connections with stock photos. So really try to highlight and accent your individuality, if that makes sense. Staff's always good. Features of you, insides of the office, you at work, meeting with clients. Everybody loves puppies and babies. So if you got a couple of those, that'd be fantastic. So there's a lot of things that you guys can pull from that, but key visuals, absolutely critical. Website evaluation, you can see what clients are looking for, simple, easy, visually appealing. Does it load quickly? I can tell you that's a big one with Google right now. You got to make sure that website's quick and nimble. So there's a lot of ways to do that, whether it's a WordPress site, GoDaddy site, doesn't really matter. Is there a lot of wasted space? Do you have engaging content? Is it easy to navigate? Again, back to personalization. Does your website tell a story? Is it updated regularly? Testimonials or validity, if that makes sense, or credibility factors. So there's a lot that goes into this stuff. But again, we want to make sure that our website's high and tight, because ultimately, when we do execute on our social strategy, we want people to engage with us. And typically that's not going to be necessarily on social. If we're turning them into long lasting clients, this is where they're going to interact with us, is on our website. We talked about online listings, tons of them there. You can see them all: Bing, Google, Foursquare, Factual. And again, I don't care if you've ever heard of these. I haven't heard of half of these. I haven't used half of these. I don't even know how to go to most of them. Google does, though. That's the important part. So again, when you're looking at Easy Local or Copilot and stuff, again, I get it. I've never used those myself, but we want to make sure that our information's there, it's listed, it's accurate, so that when clients are looking, there's nothing in there, that's going to steer them the wrong direction. All right, so the meat and potatoes behind today is going to be on social. So we're not going to go into all the who, what, when, where, whys of this stuff. Again, 60% of surveys believe so. Businesses need social or a social presence, and I think that's only after the pandemic, that's really only gotten stronger. I think the one positive or silver lining for any social company has really been the thrust of new people onto their platforms. So every platform has benefited, although you've seen a little bit of, a little setback, I think, recently. But again, big picture wise, there's a lot of positives behind social. The one thing that I said every client's expectation on is this: when we look at social media from a strategy point of view, to understand what that platform is going to do for us is absolutely important. Most people's misconception is Facebook a lead generating platform? Could be, possibly, but that's not what it is at its heart. At its heart, it's a connection place. It's a connection resource, let's just say. It's a place to post content. It's a place to engage people. But lead generation, again, there's an argument for it, and it can be done. I'm not saying that nobody can generate leads on Facebook, but normally it's a pay-to-play market. Most of these services or most of these platforms have monetized their platforms. So again, if you want to get that type of result, you're going to have to pay to play. The organic and what we're talking about with tuning up profiles and making sure that everything is synonymous with each other, we got to make sure that we have our core competencies in there. We got to make sure that there are key information visuals that need to be present in order to be successful on there. But we got to go into it knowing that this is not necessarily going to be lead generation. It's for engagement. Really, really, really awesome for repeat and referral clients. And we'll talk about that too. So going into this, LinkedIn. So for those who do or don't have a LinkedIn profile, I'm going to share. I got mine up here, so we're going to go on a swivel. But you can see it's actually super easy to set up a LinkedIn profile. I don't know if you have one, fantastic. If you haven't, you need to go through the tutorials. If you need help, I'll be happy to even walk you through it, because it's literally that easy. It'll take me 5 seconds to show you. But big picture wise, you got to make sure that everything is dialed in. There's a lot of different fields that you can set up on LinkedIn. And so making sure that we have those key visuals in place, making sure that all of our ducks are in a row is absolutely important. That goes for every single thing that you do. You get one shot to make a great first impression, right? I mean, and everybody knows that, everybody says that, but really putting that into practice is a different story. So when we look at that, I want to make sure that my key visuals match and synonymous with my website, with what they're going to see on every single social platform, so on and so forth. So LinkedIn, no different from that. So when we look at this, the first and foremost is get your key visuals in line. I do that before I even start a profile, but make sure you have the right profile picture. That's the first thing people are going to see. Again, the funny thing, I've seen clients, they got a beer bottle in hand. It's like, is that necessarily that key visual? I mean, maybe if you sell beer, but is that necessarily the key visual that you want to put out there to the market? Maybe, maybe not. But more than likely you want to, show yourself as a professional. So really think about what is it that you're looking to show. Profile picture is your calling card. So again, it's how people are introduced to you, so on and so forth. I'm not going to read all that to you. Next up, background photo. This is one that's commonly missed. So when we look at background photos, you can see my profile there, and I'll just go to it here just so you can see it. But again, I have my business logo there. You can see all the fun stuff, connection points, blah, blah, blah. But again, the key visuals are solid and they're consistent across different platforms. So, I mean, I think that that's a really, really, really important one. Pro tip is going to be this: use Canva. If you don't use it, Canva's super easy. They actually have templates for this stuff, and there's a lot of things that you can build off of. I just put this one up. That's actually a Canva template right there. I just threw the logo in there, changed around some verbiage, done. Added a yellow border just to make it brand synonymous. But again, you can see here, that's a Canva one. And I did it just to show you guys, what you can do. Our Facebook one has all of our dogs on it, since I have 6 dogs, 6 dachshunds to be clear, and they are all crazy and mad. But all of our staff, they all have dogs, so we feature puppies. So we got a whole list of them on the Facebook page. But go in there, have fun with this stuff. Again, I want to make sure, I try to go for more of a professional, whereas with Facebook, we're going more for the family vibe there, if that makes
Hey,
sense.
Chris, we couldn't see your profile page. It was still showing your slide.
Technology.
That happens.
Yep, I only see let's just share the whole screen, doodle. There we go. How about now?
Yep.
There we go. All right, so now you can see what I was talking about there. So again, background photos, all the fun stuff. So go to Canva, have at it. Like I said, tons of templates, tons of great stuff there. Moving up here. So background photo, next up is going to be your headline. We want to make it more than just a job title. And again, it's so easy. You see some of these people and it's a little bit over the top, So again, I tell people, have a little bit of caution in that. We at my company, at least, we try to go for a little bit more fun. So we're trying, all of us have fun titles, creator of disasters, all sorts of fun stuff. I'm chief digital architect. That's about as corny as I could come up with. What's yours?
What?
What's your title?
The chief inspiration.
Oh yeah, she's chief inspiration officer. She's behind me, by the way. But anyway, she's chief inspiration officer. So there's a lot of fun stuff that you can do. It doesn't necessarily have to be title oriented. If you're a job seeker, that might be a little bit different. You might do things a little bit, more professional. But I will always tell people, have a little fun with this. Again, first introductions, first experience people have with you. So it really kind of sets that tone moving forward. Next up is going to be turn your summary into a story. Now, this I want to spend a couple of minutes on, and I want to stress this. Everything in my world, because we are content marketers by trade, and so everything in my world really exists for a reason. What we look at doing for consumers is we want to take them on a journey. What I don't want to do for a client, I don't want to sit there and talk about, again, picking on plumbers. We all know what drain cleaning is. We all know what sewer piping and repiping a home. I mean, at least vaguely, we know what those things are. Those aren't sexy. There's nothing to talk about there. It's just very bland, very boring. But our story is different. The journey that we want to take them on is it's an awesome, awesome thing when you embrace it the right way. So what I stress to people is this, and this has everything to do with your social posts. This has everything to do with your profiles and how you really go to market and what you're going to do for that. What I tell people is, let's take them on a journey. Where do we want that consumer to go? What do we want them to see? How do we want them to do it? It's all up to us. And so like for us, we're a boutique marketing firm. So I take people on that journey. I talk about my experience and why I left corporate America, why I opened up an agency with my wife and I. We started out with just her and I. Now we have, just over 40 employees now. There's a lot of things there's a lot of successes in there and a lot of awesome experiences that we've had. And I want to take people on that journey. I want to help them understand where we've been, because again, that's the audience that I'm trying to connect with, is a fellow entrepreneur or a fellow small business owner that can understand, they can relate. So I'm creating that emotional connection. You need to do the same thing. You really need to think about your summaries as exactly that. How do you take people on a journey? Is that, do you want to talk about you? Do you want to talk about your company? You're going to have to think that one through. I would stay away from coined industry jargon and things like that. There's a couple of best practices, obviously, to bring to light there. But invest time into this. That's the number one thing. I see people, they'll type me up a paragraph real quick and send it over. It's like, okay, well, I just asked you for that like 15 minutes ago and you just sent it to me. I'm not saying it's terrible, but let's try again. And let's maybe put a little bit more thought into that. For those of you who are wordsmiths, maybe you can do it in 15 minutes, but I can tell you for our stuff, and I mean, again, we do a ton of branding, but it's taken us like the first 6 months, I think I rewrote that thing about 8,000 times. So think it through and get people's opinion. Don't be afraid to ask for, criticism or, feedback on things. it's only going to make you better. Try to stay away from close friends and family because they're just going to be really, really nice to you. Try to really expand out. Again, I'm probably overly critical. Send it to me. I'll be happy to take a look at it. You can send it to there's a ton of industry professionals out there that, would offer some feedback to you. But I would just recommend, make sure you think this one through. This is, again, first impressions matter. Next up, buzzwords. We already talked about that. Try to stay away from like industry jargon. And then you have those overused words like specialized and leadership and focused and strategic and all these ones that it seems like it's on every single profile. Right? So you want to make yourself a little bit more unique than that. Now, again, does that mean you can't use any of those? Of course not. Like, just let's not have all those in there. That tends to be a bit overkill. Back to humanizing the brand. This goes hand in hand with that. Don't be afraid to talk about your, nonprofit work. Don't be afraid to talk about what you do in the community. We do a lot of give backs, like I've said, charities, presentations, all sorts of stuff out there. Because again, as entrepreneurs, it's anything we can do to help somebody else down the road. So this is my give back to the community is, again, I want to share my failures. I want to share my challenges because I want to help another business owner maybe avoid some pitfalls that I've gone through. Here's a great example. This is a great opportunity to do that too. Again, not necessarily in your summary, but as social it goes. Growing your network. Again, LinkedIn, fantastic platform for this. So this is the point of the conversation where we normally look at social media and we ask ourselves, what is it that we're looking to get out of a particular platform? Know your target audience. LinkedIn, for example, those are professionals. So that's the professional social media platform. That's what they've gotten the reputation for. So if I'm looking to connect with insurance agents, real estate agents, attorneys, doctors, more professionals, business consultants, business owners, things like that, LinkedIn's going to be a great channel for that. Creatives, great channel for that stuff. Younger demographics, maybe, job seekers, maybe. Again, it's all in how you want to target this. Facebook, more family friendly. And you have to understand too, what people are doing on these platforms in order to curate your content properly. Like Facebook as an example. When you're scrolling, are you stalking an ex? Like, what are you doing on Facebook? What are you trying to appeal to essentially? Is what you're going to get in front, is who you're going to get in front of. So you got to curate the content appropriately and understand Facebook's going to be more family friendly, posting about kids, puppies, babies, those type of things. Whereas LinkedIn, I'm going to be a little bit more professional. I'm going to make sure that, we have those feel goods on LinkedIn, but at the same time, we're going to go more industry, trade publication. We're going to want to establish ourselves as more of an authority on subject matters. So just, again, understand those social networks and what you're going to get out of them. But again, growing your network is all relevant to, again, who you're trying to target and who you're trying to get in front of. That's my best advice for that. List your skills. Again, underrated. A lot of people take for granted all of the education that they do. I probably take in a given week, at least 2 to 3 different webinars just to keep myself on my game, right? So, and I encourage my employees to do the same thing. Everybody, we book out about an hour of training time every single week for every staff member. And that's for them to do stuff like this so that they can learn something new. They can stay on top of their game. So what I would encourage for you guys, again, relevant skills, make sure that you're featuring those and you'll actually notice them right down here. You can see, anything. This is obviously education, history, volunteerism, skills, leadership. You can demonstrate your skills. You can add in their skills assessments, all sorts of stuff that you can do on LinkedIn. So really browse the platform and get to know it quite well, because there's a lot of different things that we just don't simply have time to cover today. Going over here, spotlight services you offer. You can upload videos, products, services. You can talk about anything and everything. So again, just make sure that those are consistent across the board. You can do the same thing on Facebook. So just make sure you're creating that information consistently across the board, that it speaks, if they go to LinkedIn and find it, it's the same thing here as it is on Facebook. LinkedIn's a little bit unique in that you can endorse people. So as an individual, you can endorse people. So again, share love, get out there. If you have friends, family, other business professionals that you've networked with, don't be afraid to endorse them. Don't be afraid to give that feedback to somebody else. Believe me, they'll reciprocate. I have tons of recommendations on there, but I'm also not afraid to jump in there. If I meet somebody, I'll jump in and just, hey man, great meeting you. Fantastic, seminar today, blah, blah, blah. Loved hearing what you had to say. Just something just to share a little positive energy out there in the world. And again, I've gotten a lot of returns from that. Manager endorsements, you're going to get a lot of people too, especially if you're in a more of a professional base. If you're a consultant, things like that, people will actually want you to endorse them. So just manage it. Like I said, you don't have to give everybody an endorsement if you don't feel that they're worthy of that endorsement. But I will tell you, a lot of people, they do reciprocate. And so that's always been my experience. So don't be afraid, share some positive energy out there. Skills assessments, I just showed you that one. So again, LinkedIn Learning is awesome if you guys have never done it. All of my people, so I make everybody, I don't care what efficient or proficiency level you are in marketing, I make everybody do LinkedIn Learning courses. So again, that's part of my company culture and what we look to, foster. I want to make sure my people are experts so that when they talk to a client, they're rock stars. Same thing for you guys, demonstrate your proficiency. That part of that is taking skills assessments and showing people, where you stand on things that, hey, I actually am an expert on X, Y, and Z, so on and so forth. Don't be afraid to request recommendations. Again, that's building up your credibility. So recommendations and endorsements is a big part of LinkedIn, especially from a professional's point of view. So make sure that you're doing that. Then show your passion for learning. Again, LinkedIn Learning courses. We've talked about that. So share media and marketing collateral. Again, we don't want to gum it up with me posts. So when you're posting and creating your content strategy, I really stress to businesses, just don't make everything about you. Share. I love sharing about nonprofits. I love sharing about just different things going on in the community, especially education wise. I really like to educate my business owners and my followers about what's going on marketing wise. And again, it doesn't all have to be my perspective. I have no problem sharing Search Engine Journal and some of these other publications out there with just relevant information, just to keep people keep this stuff top of mind. This is a ever-changing business, and mine is at least. Things change on the fly every single day. Google seems to want to ruin my life. So, again, sharing is caring. Get credit for thought leadership. That's a big one. We've had the benefit of being featured in national publications. I love sharing that stuff. And again, not to be arrogant, but it's a huge accomplishment for us. And so don't be afraid if you do get featured and you do reach out, you do get that little article in the newspaper or whatnot, don't be afraid to share that. Those are feel good moments that people want to get behind. It's that positive energy that, helps make a connection. Share relevant content on LinkedIn. This is just best practice. Obviously, when you're curating your content, I always try to do like a 70-30 rule, 30% about me, 70% about, everything else. Think about fun holidays, think about quotes, inspiration, anything. There's a ton, and I can give you a whole content calendar. If anybody wants that, I can email that over to you. We have a ton of tips, tricks, and suggestions on how to curate content, what to look for, just to make it, a little bit more personalized about you. Last but not least, I'm going to show you guys one more thing, and that is personal profile. Again, very easy to set up. So I don't think, and again, if you need a walkthrough, I'm happy to do it for you. But I think it's fairly easy that most people can do. The one step that I really want to encourage you guys to do as business owners is, again, come down here. When you look at this, again, personal page all is great. Create your company page. And again, this is absolutely critical. If you're a small business owner, please make sure you create this company page. It's super easy, very similar to setting up your personal profile. Again, you can see this is, go to mine. So you can see my wife updates it with fun holiday stuff. So what is this one? Fall. I don't know what she did there, but anyway, she updated that one here. But you can see this profile, very similar to my own. You can see, where everything's at, scary Halloween stuff, magical day. Happy Magician's Day the other day. So, again, we try to post some fun stuff every now and then. You can see Candy Corn Day. We try to keep it lighthearted. We try to keep it a little bit more fun. And again, you'll see little professional stuff blended in there, industry articles, stuff like that we, post out there. Best practice from a business perspective, I'll just leave you guys with this, and we'll open it up to some Q&A. When you guys are curating content, I always curate it from the business. So I post on my business page, then I will go into my personal, or I will go into LinkedIn there and share it onto my personal. So that way, again, I'm always promoting the business. I'm always creating that connection with the business. Some industries are going to vary. That's not a best practice for everybody, but for those who own businesses, this is an awesome way to help build up your brand audience, not just for you, but for your company. And then I do the same thing with my employees. I ask them to share. I ask them to go in and engage with the profile too, because that's just going to help build a larger audience. So I will go ahead and turn it over here, Robert. Sorry, that went long, but I will turn it back over to you there.
Well, you're good. We still got 10 minutes, and we got 3 questions right now in the Q&A box. If you have questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A box you can find at the bottom of your screen. So the first one is, what about businesses that are just starting out? This is from Monique. And she asked this early on, so.
Yeah, Monique, and I would tell you, this is all a part of your overall brand identity. I think LinkedIn plays a part in that. I think all social platforms, play a part in that. So depending on the nature of your business, what you're looking to accomplish and who you're looking to connect with would largely dictate what platforms I would start out with. So again, if I'm a retail business, I probably wouldn't be on LinkedIn right away unless I had a ton of extra time or somebody that's managing it for me. I would tend to focus on the channels that my demographic would largely support. So again, if it's younger, I might go on Snap, I might go on TikTok, I might go on Facebook. Well, young, I probably wouldn't go on Facebook, but Instagram. If I'm trying to target the 35 plus crowd, maybe 35 to 55, I'm going to be on Facebook and Instagram. That's a popular, demographic for those. So again, it's largely just going to depend on where you're looking to start and who you're looking to target.
All right, excellent. So before we go to the next question, I just want to say it's really fun when we do these boot camps and I see other presenters that have presented with us attending to get the information and making a comment. So we have Taylor Wellman out there. So thank you for your comments and participating. Let's see, we're gonna go to Kathy. Kathy says, did you say there was a section on LinkedIn to share services and media mentions, and where is it?
Yeah, so, and you can curate services and media mentions. You can do it obviously through content creation. So that's going to be just your normal service posts and things like that. You can upload videos, you can upload products and services. So again, as you're going through that tutorial, and it's a very easy setup process, but as you're going through there, just follow through. Like I had some old videos on there. I just removed a couple from ours. We're in the process of creating some new ones. So I'll be posting those here soon. Video tends to be the easiest, highest engagement rate that we've found for connecting people with our products and services. So that's what we tend to focus on, but I would absolutely recommend, just walk through those different steps, click on everything, anything that has an edit option. The only way that you're going to really get to know LinkedIn and you're really going to get to know what it has to offer is by clicking around and just start educating yourself on what each feature is, because some of them, quite honestly, we don't use, and they make no sense to us. I don't know why LinkedIn did them, but other times they're super relevant, super valid options in there. So just play around. And if you do have some specific questions on it, feel free, just give me a jingle. I'd be happy to walk you through it.
Okay. We had another one just asking to share your contact info again. So if you have a slide with that, you can throw that up on the screen while we're answering these questions. Feel free to do that. And then another question while you're pulling that up is, I am a nonprofit, not a small business. Well, a nonprofit is a small business, but it's just a nonprofit business. Is there any advice that differs from business versus nonprofit?
Yeah, nonprofits, man, those are my fun. So those are my give backs. So we do a ton of nonprofits, and it's just, I have a bleeding heart for everybody, I guess. But we do everything from domestic violence shelters, animal shelters, human services, you name it. So yes, there's absolutely a different way to go about the nonprofit strategy versus a for-profit. And that's going to be a more detailed conversation, but I can tell you our strategy obviously is heavy on focus on what we do, how we do it, statistics around what we do, and contributions. We obviously, as a nonprofit, we need money coming in. So we need to make sure that people understand, if I'm going to donate $5, what does $5 get me? And that's been a big thing with a lot of larger nonprofits. My wife and I, we give back a lot to AFSP, which is the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And so that they do a really, really good job at saying, hey, for $5, that helps fund whatever, for $10, it does this. And so just helping people make those associations and connections with that donation, it makes it way more impactful, and people can really visualize, okay, man, hey, this is what I'm doing and this is what I'm giving to, and this is what I did for my community today. So it takes, instead of just having your hand out like me, gimme, it puts validity behind it. So, or credibility for that matter. Sorry, I'm trying to multitask and type my number in here for Kathy.
No. The next question is, my CEO has a page in her name with thousands of followers. She is hesitant to do a company page. How do I convince her this is a better marketing approach?
So because she's done a really good job, just like I have, of branding herself and myself. And it's a really big challenge. A lot of people, they look at that and they say, well, you know what? I'm a rock star over here. So I just, let's not break what's not broken, or let's not fix what's not broken. But the reality is that if we're ever going to transition out of, again, people hiring Chris to do their marketing versus no boundaries, it really, and again, it's great to promote yourself as a leader, a thought leader, and all that stuff. There's a school of thought behind that, and this doesn't dismiss anything from it. But what ends up happening is, especially for our employees, and I actually learned this from a mentor, and he schooled me. So I'll be honest, I'm preaching from this. So he taught me, he said, how are you ever going to take a step back as the owner of the company and let your people do their job? And I said, well, what do you mean? What is that all about? And he told me, he said, listen, he's like, you being the expert in everything is fantastic, but he said, so are your people. And so when are you going to give them a chance to step up into the light? And I said, okay, I'm following. How do I do that? And that's when he said, he's like, you got to stop making it less about you and more about the company, and then let your people feed off of that. And I was like, okay, that made sense to me. And obviously there's a lot more to that than this, but I will tell you, the company bears more weight than the individual does. The individual can still be that thought leader and can still contribute to the company page and can still establish themselves as an authority. We just need to make sure that the business is the priority there and not the individual, because the reality is the individual might not always be there.
Excellent. We've got two really good questions here to wrap things up. First says, I'm changing fields, going from corporate America to business owner. For LinkedIn, would you use your old LinkedIn for such a drastic change from legal to selling retail products?
I would, yeah. I mean, because here's the reality is that whatever journey you were on to get you to where you're at today, there's a story there, and that story is awesome. And, it shouldn't be discredited. So a lot of people, when they're making big career changes, they're doing different things, they look at that as a negative, and that's really not. Whatever took you to that point in your life where you said you need to make that change, there's a positive story in that. And that's really what we need to embrace. So I would tell you, don't get rid of it. Like, keep that on there, keep your experience. Like, you can go back on my LinkedIn profile. You can see, I worked for colleges. I worked for Bank of America, and great company. So, I have a really diverse background. I work for the state of Arizona. I've done a lot of things and that journey brought me to where I'm at today and ultimately afforded me this amazing career that we have. So I would say embrace it, have fun with it.
I just found another one in the chat that I actually want to ask too. It says, I've heard some issues with data privacy, vital information, phishing on LinkedIn. How much info do you recommend as essential to post on LinkedIn? What should absolutely not be posted?
Yeah. And everybody's going to be different on this. So, obviously I've been on LinkedIn for years. And there's bad apples in every bunch. So, even Google, I think I get about 5 Google notifications a day where people are trying to claim access to my clients' business pages and all sorts of stuff. So there's phishing out there. I wish people had better things to do with their time, but they don't. So, good rule of thumb is this: whatever you don't feel comfortable with posting, if like some people, they're avid, they do not want family, they don't want anything really personal on there, and to each their own. That's great for you. And so don't do it. I can't say that that's a best practice to do that, but I always say, people, they engage with what they can make emotional connections with. So, puppies and babies, going back to that one, that's an easy one. But I would say if you don't feel comfortable, don't do it. That's just the best rule. I don't share any passwords, any information. The best I'm going to give you, I don't share cell phone numbers. I don't do any of that stuff on LinkedIn or any social channel for that matter. I give my office number. I have my office address. So I would try to keep it professional in that respects. So limiting personal information, that's about where I draw the line, is I keep it at, my company information. Somebody who wants my personal cell phone, might be a little weirded out by that depending on who it is. But, again, if you feel comfortable, some people, that's their business line. And so, it is what it is.
Excellent. Well, we are right at time. Barbara had asked a question about YouTube, but Barbara, I'm going to recommend you look in our content library. We have a number of webinars we've done on YouTube as a resource. There's quite a few on there. So take a look at the content library. Chris, I want to thank you for an awesome presentation today. I want to thank all the participants for the great questions. as well. Very, very good session today, so appreciate everybody involved. And again, thank you, Chris, for being with us. We look forward to having you again. With that, we will wrap up. We hope everybody has a great week, and we look forward to seeing you either tomorrow at the workshop or next Tuesday at our next boot camp. Till then, thanks.
All right. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for joining.